So I'm doing a small video on a Vermont Castings Aspen 1920. I've had this stove for a few years. As you can see, I have it's a small setup. It's a small stove. I have a small home, so it does the job. It's not a big stove. It has a small burn box. It's not going to burn forever, but it gets the job done. It heats up a small area very well. But a lot of people are having problems with this stove. You read online with it not working right, getting a draft, and burning. And that's because I believe, well, I know it has a poor design for getting air into the stove. The air intake is in the back if you have the stove, but it comes all the way to the front and it gets clogged with ash. And I'll kind of show you what's going on. You can see I removed the screw there. And what it is, I'll show you where how you can fix that. I'm going to put my glove on here so I don't burn my hand. You take this screw out, and I'll show you. This comes out right here. And this is a problem. Alright, I took that out. So you can see those two holes down there. That's where the air comes in. And that plate covers it. And if we look at this plate, the plate sits in the front here, and there's this gap, and it goes in like this. This piece goes in. Let me hold that with another glove. It's really hot. It goes in this way. It sits in over those holes. This area here gets clogged with ash, and a lot of people I don't know if they know that or not. So let me get a better lighting situation here. See, the air comes in from down there from the back, and that gets clogged. So you have to keep the front clear. I'll show you. I'll show you how to do that. I'll put this piece back in, and I leave the screw out. And every once in a while I clean in there. So that's back in place. And what happens is, let me get the light on. What happens is, if you have the stove full, move my coals around, it'll get clogged in there. So what you have to do is always keep this area in here free, like move the stuff, the embers away, and the ash, because that's where your air is coming from. It's kind of a poor setup, because when this is full, ash and everything will come over this area and clog it. So you have to keep the front of this little lip down here clear, and I keep this out. Every once in a while when the stove, I pop it out and I vacuum in here. But if you keep that clear, the stove runs pretty well. So that's the only problem with the stove. It's a little poor design setup, if you ask me. But other than that, the stove works great. I have some hot coals in here now. There's the ash pan down here, which is really neat to have the ash pan for cleaning. Slide that out so you can get an idea what that does. But so if you want to clean it, that helps. But I'll pause it. I'm going to throw some wood on it, and I'll show you how this thing burns. Let's throw a couple pieces of wood in there. Get it going. Again, I had it going for a while. I cleaned it out. Alright, I'll put that in there. I put a big chunk of wood in there with some smaller pieces on it. And I'll shut the door. And come back in a minute and show you how it's burning. Okay, so I'm back a few minutes later. I didn't use the best piece of wood. It was kind of wet, so I just put a little fire starter under it with some kindling. But one trick with any stove is to to get it started, keep the door cracked a little bit. But I have the damper open in the back, and if I close it, it's wide open. You can actually hear the stove. And that's with that air, where the air comes in, it's clean. You can see how it's really racing. If you keep that front part of the stove open, the stove will work great. And you can hear it racing right now. And I could shut it down, slow it down. You know, I have a tea kettle set up here, you know, to add some humidity to the water. It has a cooktop. I've cooked on it when my power's been out. I got my thermometer there. It's what are we at? We're only at 200. I'm basically just getting it going right now. And like I said, that's my setup. It's a Aspen Vermont Casting 1920. I have a small place here, and if you have a small area, a small house, this stove will work great. Only drawback is that little design flaw, I would call it. But if you know how to clean it and make sure the front of it's clear, the stove will work fine. And you know, it's a small stove, small burn box. You got to burn, I'd say 14-inch wood. You know, they say you can burn a 16. That's fine, but 16, 17 maybe. I'd like to burn around 14-inch logs, and you know, it gets the job done. So overall, you know, I would give it a good rating if you have a small area, and you know, you're not trying to heat a huge place, you know, for like, you know, 12-hour burns, but you know, it'll burn overnight. You can get, if you pack it right and you shut it down at night, you can get 8 hours out of it and wake up with hot coals and get it going again. All right, so hopefully this helps you if you're thinking about getting a stove, or if you have a problem with like people can't get it going. Clean out the front, and it'll work good for you later.